please rise for a pledge to our flag. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our military personnel serving here and abroad. And remember those who lost their lives to senseless acts of violence in Buffalo, Texas, and other major cities the past few weeks in the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Notice requirements of the open public meeting law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger published a notice on December 10, 2021. A copy of the schedule is posted in the municipal bulletin board and it should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Spiller.
Here.
Councilwoman Meehan.
Here.
Councilman Patel. Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Councilman Small. Here. Councilwoman McCullough.
Here.
Council Vice President Ficarra.
Here.
And President Bauer.
Here.
I get a motion to get the minutes from May 17th approved.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with second reading ordinances, we will take letter A first, which is an amendment to an existing bond ordinance for the MCUA trunk sewer system. I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing concluded.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter A only.
Good evening, Town Council and members of the administration. I hope everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend, and certainly we do want to bless all those who serve, and as the Council President, all those lives that were lost, we are praying for them. I have a question on the bond. Is it going to add $27,780,000 in additional bond debt? And if so, what is the length of that bond, and what is the anticipated rate on the bond?
Mayor?
It will not add to the existing bond.
What is it doing now?
Sorry?
What is it? It's not increasing, it's just financing the same amount?
We originally authorized $60 million for this joint project between Carteret, Perth Amboy, and Woodbridge. We then issued $27,780,000, and we are now canceling the balance of that because ultimately we won't go to bonds as we generally do. We're going to go to the Environmental Infrastructure Trust. So this is actually taking temporarily $32 million off of our debt until we keep going further in the project and then finance it through the state.
Okay. But we do have to finance it, and that's the question. Do we know what rate or anticipated rate that finance?
We have no idea what rate until we issue the debt.
Yeah, I know they're floating. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the public?
Mr. President, Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor Mack, just the clarification. This project, we've been working on this with these other towns for quite a while, right? Trying to figure out.
More than quite a while,
Yeah.
Councilman. Probably back 10 years, and it might go 10 more.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? There are no other comments from the public. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed? The ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law.
Motion. Second.
Any comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Letter B is an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of 14 Austin Street in C. Warren section. Can I get a motion that this ordinance be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be opened?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letter B only.
Again, Tom Maris, Wards. What is the reason that we have to use eminent domain, and for what purpose is that property being acquired, and at what cost?
The property is being purchased for a parking lot for the animal shelter at $125,000. And why are we?
It's just the wording in all acquisition ordinances. It says eminent domain. We have no intention of using it. It's just the language that is normally legally in the ordinances as stated.
So the owner then is therefore in agreement to selling it, they're not being forced into it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing no other comment, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion? Second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We will take letters C, D, and E by consent. These are all amendments to Chapter 7, which is our traffic ordinances. The first is to add a stop intersection on Trinity Lane. The second is to add a yield intersection at Florida Grove Road. And the third is to add one-way street designations for a portion of Trinity and Port Ready Avenues. Can I get a motion that C, D, and E will be taken up by consent? Public hearing be open.
Motion?
Do I have a second?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments?
You confused?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters C, D, and E. C, D, and E only.
I just have a question. I live on North Washington Avenue and Bedford.
Excuse me, does this relate to the ordinances?
Oh, I thought you meant traffic in general.
No, so when you go to a public portion, you have the right to come up and speak.
What would it be under?
Public portion.
Okay.
I'll announce it, and you have the right to come. Yes, thank you.
C, D, and E only. C, D, and E. There are no comments from the public. Can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed and the ordinances be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We will now take letters F and G by consent, first reading ordinances. Can I get a motion that both ordinances be passed on first reading, published in the Home Distribution on June 3rd, 2022. The notice of public hearing will be held on June 21st, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And finally, Mr. President, you have resolutions 1 through 26 listed before you. Can I get a motion 1 through 26?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
All
In favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. This time we'll go to the public portion of our meeting. Please state your name, part of the township or state you are from. You have a one-time 5-minute time period. All video taking must be taken within the designated area in the rear of the room, and there will be no shouting out from your seats. Please respect each other, and please make sure all signs or posters do not block walkway aisleways. Thank you.
Is there any comment from the public this evening?
Hi, everybody. My name is Gary Diedelmeyer. I live in Colonia. I'm here tonight to thank the mayor, the council, and most importantly, the police department for putting on a program I just completed this afternoon, the Senior Police Academy. When I first heard about it, I thought it would just be a program to fill up a day since I retired. Free ride in a police car and a free t-shirt. You know how old people like free stuff. So I said, sign me up. I'm here to tell you, this is one of the most important, informative programs I've ever been to, and I've been around. There's things in this program that should be sent to everybody in this town because they could save lives. From the CPR training that we received, from the information, if you call up 911, do so on your landline and not on your cell phone, because when you call on your landline, your address comes up. Please get to your address quick. If you have a friend or a loved one that lives by themselves, get a lockbox. Call the police. Tell them where the lockbox is, what the combination is. Again, the police can get to that person quicker. You can save lives. Mrs. Nolan was down there to talk about her program. If you know of anybody who's in an addictive problem, you can save lives. It was just such an informative thing. Then we took a trip down to Middlesex County Police Academy, and they put you in a real live active shooter situation. I had a Glock, a real gun, obviously didn't have real bullets in it, and I was put in a position where the men and women of this town have to deal with every day. Well, not every day, but they can be. And this gentleman shot at me. He had his hands behind his back. He pulled out a gun, he shot at me and turned around. By the time I picked up my Glock, do I shoot this gentleman in the back? Bad shot, bad shoot. Good shoot, bad shoot, right? Do I shoot him at all because there's kids in the playground and there's an old man sitting on that bench? Do I stop him before he hits anybody else? These are all questions that police officers have to answer within a fraction of a second. So I'm just here to tell you, it was so informative. I've told everybody about it that I can because it was that important to me. And I think the constant, when we were down at the police academy, the training classes were all full. The constant training and the dedication that these guys and girls put in this program should be admired and respected. And I want to give a big shout out to Detective Mark Zena and Detective Anna Rankowski, who are instructors, and they were just fabulous. I just want to say thank you, and if you can expand this program, you'll never hear these words come out of this town. Defund the police. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Tom Maris, Ford, New Jersey. Time to play beat the clock again. We've got the 5 minutes, so I'll try and squeeze it all in, hopefully get some answers. But I'd like to take a second just to thank that gentleman for coming and speaking about what he did. I took that program several years ago, and it was fantastic. We didn't have the opportunity to have the range treatment as far as the gun, but we did go to the shooting range. We went out to the prison. It was highly informative. I'm glad to see that it's back for seniors. I do know that we do it for the younger people in town. And I think that's a good way to promote interest within our police department and perhaps get young people interested in going to law enforcement. So kudos to everybody for doing that. Going on with my agenda, I'd like to know, with regard to the Ross Street School, did John McCormick and or his administration obtain an appraisal on the property owned by the Woodbridge School District, being the Ross Street School parking lot? If so, when and what is that appraisal value? Because the school is telling me they don't have one, and they have not sold the property, and yet there's a developer that's already out there advertising the apartments that he said are going to go up there. Number two, with respect to the proposed second power plant in Caseby, how does the council feel knowing so many towns in the community, immediate area, are officially opposed now, Perth Amboy just did that in the last week, to the construction of that? Obviously, unlike John McCormick's statement that at the last council meeting where he said it was about, his response to me was, it's about the money, Tom. Doesn't carry over in the other towns because obviously they're worried about health and safety of their citizens, where this seems to be a matter of money comes first, health and safety comes second. Third, what financial flexibilities does the administration have in spending money to improve security in our schools in the form of classroom, hallway, and perimeter cameras and surveillance equipment? We don't want to harden the schools to where they look like jails. But I know we do a good job, I'm sure. Councilman Small does an excellent job in making sure our kids are safe. But as we all know, parents are hyper on this subject right now. So maybe you could address that. And what can we do? How much can come out of the general fund to help the school improve their security systems? And finally, what further steps is the McCormick administration taking to alleviate the concerns that people still have about the cancer, unfortunately, the brain cancers that are occurring or have occurred at the Colonia High School? I know, and kudos again for moving as fast as you could, keeping it as tight as you could so that the school people, the children and the parents weren't forced into other schools. So again, I compliment you on that. But what else can you do? Thank you.
Do you have any comments?
I wasn't keeping track of questions, so if you want to repeat any one of the questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, is that going to burn up my time if I have to go back over them?
What was the first one was Broad Street?
Yep.
What was the question?
I want to know, since the school says they've never had an appraisal and they have not sold it, does the McCormick administration have an appraisal on it? Because according to the records, back in 2021, Mayor McCormick was handed an application by the developer for a tax abatement. So obviously there's got to be a value to that property. What is it? Who obtained it? And what might it be sold for? So far the school's saying they have not sold it. Again, KSB issue. As I pointed out, other towns are saying they don't want it. I'm asking, does this council feel guilty about going forward with that, since by his own admission, the mayor seems to be more interested in the monetary gains than what it might do to the community or the communities at large in our immediate area. Again, flexibility with the spending to improve school security, I think it's straightforward, shouldn't be too hard to ask. Hope somebody's taking notes. And further, what is the McCormick administration planning to do, if anything, to further alleviate the concerns that people have about the brain cancer issues and finding perhaps other avenues that may have caused that?
Mayor?
Well, first, since you misquoted me on the second question, I never said it was all about the finances. You said something along the lines of there's nothing to the finances except the money, and I said, of course, the finances is all about the money. I never said it was all about the money. I never said it was all about the finances. Go back and look at it. Let me get to the most important one at Colonia High School. We did everything that we were supposed to do as a town, and keep in mind this is a school issue, not a town issue, but because we work so well together, and because we can act quicker generally, and because we have a team of environmental experts on call, and because we have a health department that reports to us, we were best suited to take care of that problem. And we did, and we consulted with our engineers, and they come up with a plan to test gamma radiation detection systems all across the grounds and the school, inside and outside, plus radon testing of all the classrooms, the auditorium, the offices, and the gymnasium inside. The State Department of Environmental Protection concurred with that. The Environmental Protection Agency concurred with that. The Center for Disease Controls concurred with that. We had a joint call with all them and other entities on April 4th from 4 to 5:30. And then we went ahead and on the 5th was a council meeting. We passed a $450,000 emergency resolution to say we need to spend the money now. Let's worry about raising it in the next year's budget. That's perfectly normal within state accounting rules. And then we hired T&M for $221,350. They started that Saturday. I would venture to say no entity around could have possibly gotten that whole thing started any quicker. We then had them place the company called Cabrera Services, placed radon detectors in every classroom, and as I said, gym, offices, auditorium. They started the testing on the grounds and the building. On April 30th, everything was completed. We sent it out to be analyzed. We got it back. We shared it with all the entities that I mentioned. And then last Thursday, we had a press conference where we released those results. There is nothing else to do. There is nobody else telling us we have to do any more testing. Nobody other than people that don't have any medical or scientific background. So we're not afraid to do more testing. We're willing to. But somebody in authority has to tell us what we should do and why. And until that happens, we're not doing any more testing. So the DEP, which by the way, was so unequivocally definitive that no more testing needs to be done, unless they or somebody like them comes to us and says, here's what you should do, we're done. We're absolutely done with that project.
I agree with your response and applaud it. I think you did act in a
Mr.
timely
Mayor,
manner.
you're 5
The
minutes
other
up.
questions. You're not going to
5 minutes
answer
up.
the other two questions.
5 minutes up, sorry. Thank you.
Maybe somebody else will follow up.
John with Eric Woodbridge. Nobody disagree, Mayor, that you did a great job. But again, there's still 120 people that's supposed to be in Woodbridge. They got ill from something. Doesn't mean it's school, it's from someplace and something. And I would encourage you, because we do have some power, to go, let's find out where it came from. It's not a school, it's not a township, just how did those people get sick? If somebody gets sick, or something like that, usually nationwide, not just at one facility, one location. So let's find out if it's up to the state or federal government. If it's something else, like even COVID-19, they will close things up, and let's find out. You did the right job.
I'd like to find out, you can do a study and find out. It's not the requirement.
Well, I think it's a government.
Investigate things like that.
I know it's not up to you, it's not up to, but it's a government that should find out, because we do have our people, they're still ill, and more likely, a lot of people are afraid just to live in the area because they don't know where it came from.
You should share your concerns with the state and federal governments.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Council
Mr.
President,
Yes.
I just want to add, because we were in the meeting, and one of the things that I learned about during that meeting was an expectation rate. We live in New Jersey, and there is an expectation rate based on the expected number of people that live in this area for a certain amount of time, the expected rate of how many of them will get brain tumors or brain cancers, benign or malignant. The number that they came back with was within the range, but on the lower end of the range. So it's unfortunate that people did get brain tumors and brain cancer, but they're at the bottom of the range, and they're within the range of the expected number of people that would get cancer in that time period.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Good evening, everyone. James Dabrowski, Woodbridge proper. It has been exactly 1 week since the horrific mass murder at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, and 17 days since the white supremacist massacre at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. I remember talking with our mayor, John McCormick, at a New Jersey Democratic Party event a while back at the Lake Chateau Banquet Hall here in Woodbridge. My friend from the ACLU New Jersey and I were trying to persuade Mayor McCormick to finally begin taking a stand against racism in Woodbridge. No, because I'll piss off half my town. I have to get elected, the mayor snapped at us. I'm not taking a stand on any issue. What happens when somebody comes to me and says, take a position against guns, he added. But you're on the mayor's coalition against guns, I tried to remind him. But before I could finish, he interrupted me. I signed up for that just for the mayor of Jersey City. He asked me to do him a favor, and I'm sorry I ever did. As of today, John McCormick's Wikipedia page states that he's still currently a member of the Mayors Against Illegal Guns Coalition, which in 2013 joined forces with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America to create Every Town for Gun Safety, a nonprofit organization which advocates for gun control and against gun violence. In light of our recent national tragedies, will Mayor McCormick please let us know if he still regrets joining this coalition? He can answer that question when I'm done, because I only get 5 minutes and he gets as long as he wants. And I have the conversation recorded, so there's no need to lie like he did about calling Black Lives Matter awful. Also, I'd like to go on the record to thank the Perth Amboy City Council, whom this past Wednesday evening unanimously voted to pass the resolution in opposition to yet another fossil fuel power plant here in the Caseby section of Woodbridge Township. After a unanimous recommendation from the Perth Amboy Green Team, the Perth Amboy Council joined the Edison Council, the Highland Park Council, the Hoboken Council, the Highland Park Board of Education, and the Sayreville Environmental Commission in passing this vital resolution. At our last council meeting on May 17th, I saw that Mayor McCormick went on a 3.5-minute rant trying to somehow justify the case for building a third toxic power plant in our overburdened environmental justice community. In addition to the money he said it will generate through the Payment in Lieu of Taxes program or pilot program, the mayor argued that the proposed Caseby site, where one of these massive power plants already exists, was and still is radioactive, and that the Competitive Power Ventures Corporation, CPV, actually did us a favor by cleaning up some of the radiation in exchange for letting them build not just one, but 2 toxic power plants, emitting tons of known carcinogens. Make it make sense. If the Colonia High School radiation tests came back positive, was the mayor's plan to call CPV and let them clean it up in exchange to build even more of their dirty gas power plants on that site? Maybe, because on the CPV website, Mayor John McCormick is literally quoted saying, "I wish they could open up 5 more power plants. I'd let them do it tomorrow because they've been such a good corporate citizen with us." Can't make this stuff up. I have too many questions to fit in these little 5 minutes, but I'd like to take the mayor up on his offer for residents to meet with him and discuss these concerns about adding a third fossil fuel power plant in our overburdened environmental justice community. I'll try to squeeze a few questions in now. Mayor McCormick, you claimed that last meeting that green clubs actually co-signed your decision to build yet another fossil fuel power plant. Which green clubs? Please be specific. You claim the Caseby site was radioactive and that it still is radioactive, so which one is it? Is it radioactive or not? You chastised other communities for having the conscience and courage to formally oppose this power plant, stating, "We don't tell them how to run their town and they shouldn't tell us how to run ours." Do you even realize that the toxins emitted from this power plant would adversely affect many other communities in addition to ours? That's how air pollution works. That's why we need an air permit to build it, permission to pollute the air, which we hope Governor Murphy will deny. Mayor McCormick, would you be willing to put this proposed power plant up for a vote for the residents of Woodbridge to decide? It was quietly voted in under the radar for a reason, and I think the majority of the township is completely unaware of it, as I was completely unaware of it until it was brought to my attention by environmental justice advocates. Also, my initial question, do you still regret joining the Mayors Against Illegal Guns Coalition? Council President Bauer, if you could ask the mayor to please respond.
Mayor, do you have any comments?
No, thank you.
I have 30 seconds left. I'll wait for a response, man. You got to answer one of those, man. You can talk to everybody else out in the hallway. I'm a lifelong resident of Woodbridge. I'm the Woodbridge representative of the Perth Amboy Area Branch NAACP. Give me the dignity of response. Yeah, eyebrows raised, nothing, right? I know you don't be challenged. You're not challenged by your council. You're not used to being challenged. I'm going to challenge you, man. I lived here my whole life. I'm fighting to make this town better, whether you like it or not. You can ignore me all you want. I'm going to keep coming back.
Mr. Zabrowski.
Shame on you, man.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Good job, Jimmy. Really, I don't even know how.
Can you please state your name and where you're from, please?
Remain courageous.
Excuse me?
Racist.
Can you please state your name
Case
and where
House
you're from?
Road. Thank you. Once again, I'm so sick of coming in this room in front of a bunch of disinterested elected officials who have power written so up their behinds and believe that they do not owe or should not be owed any form of accountability from the community that elected them in their positions. I told you before and I'll tell you again, many of you, if not all of you, are racist. You are. Because let me tell you how you're racist. You allow a national hatred organization like the Proud Boys to come inside this room and you welcome them with open arms, more open arms than you will ever do anybody else, specifically Black people in Woodbridge. I love your faces right now too. It goes to show I probably touched a nerve, and I'm glad, because I'm not here for you to like me. I'm not here for you to respect me. I'm here for you to ensure that you are doing the best interest and doing the people's work at their best interest. Disgusting. Y'all should have been resigned a long time ago. But your faces right now are so despicable. I don't even know what other word to even fathom what your faces are. Your silence is violence. You've been guilty of complicity. You've been guilty of wrongdoing of Black and brown residents who have been held up at illegal traffic stops for days and months and weeks and years, and you've bought them out in a sense. You've dismissed their cases and their claims and said that it was false. The allegations of racism and white supremacy and unlawful traffic stops were false. Look in the mirror and pat yourselves on the back. Say, yeah, I'm a racist. I love it. You are. And people are sick of it. And most importantly, people who are directly impacted are sick of it. We got white supremacists in this room right now who probably were in attendance at the Capitol terrorist attack, which I'm sure, or if they physically weren't, they have friends who were. Why? Because we have back records and videos of you condoning such violence like that. So it makes perfect sense, Mr. Mayor. You're another racist who also wants to continue to outpour funds in your police department and not put them in communities and invest in mental health resources, invest them in youth and recreational to keep our kids safe and also invested and busy during the summer. To let them know that possibilities are endless for them. So we must invest in them. Not continuing to pour them in our police departments, but to invest in our children. Give more money to youth and recreational services and mental health support. But putting them into the police department is certainly not the answer. Racist. That's what you are. You're racist. And white supremacist. You don't like to be called that, don't you? I love it. Then don't be racist. It's that simple. But it's not easier said than done because many of you were raised that way, so I expect that from you. Racist. Donald Trump are your saviors. Disgusting. Resign is so long past due. I don't even know if resign is the right word. Resign now is actually understated. But abolish your own white supremacy. That's what I'm going to say to you tonight. I want to challenge you, just like Jimmy did on the power plant, and other things that align to the justice scope. I want to challenge you to abolish your own your own white supremacy. Look in the mirror when you get up tomorrow morning, you wipe those crusts by your eyes and say, oh my God, I'm going to abolish my own white supremacy. It may sound ridiculous to you, don't it? Because your faces right now is so weird to me. But that's who you are. I believe you the first time when you first showed who you are. I believe people's first true colors when they present themselves to me. So I don't expect you to change.
Thank you, sir.
Resign and shame.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening? Here are no other comment.
Council President, may I?
Yes.
I have a comment. I just want to refute a statement that was made. We have voted various ordinances and voted on our budgets. There is funds going to mental health in Woodbridge Township, and we have a variety and a ton of programs in recreation and for our youth. And it's evident, and I want to make sure that our residents know that as a council, we've voted for mental health awareness and not only awareness, but programs. We have a ton of programs in our town for our youth and our recreation services. If you go on our website, you can find a ton of programs for our youth in sports and in other areas in our town. So that statement was false. We have voted for mental health awareness and programs, and we have a ton of youth programs for all of our youth in Woodbridge Township. That is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kyle Lawrence. Live a couple streets down. I just want to pick up on that as well. I do think money does not need to be going to the police. Like you said, mental health care, it's very good to hear that you guys are investing in programs. I hope some of those programs involve examining the red flag laws that go into the students. Schools where you try and catch dangerous behavior, and that something is actually done about it. Mandatory psych evaluation, counseling. Another thing is we have to be able to detect these things early. We have to be able to detect when signs of abuse, also signs of bullying. I know a lot of places have a very zero tolerance policy, but a lot of times, a lot of the teachers just ignore it. These are the things that cause these large spree shooters that endanger our schools and make our kids sick. And what we actually found, a recent report said that one of the most connective tissue of all of these mass shooters was, one, abuse in the home, and two, of virulent hatred of women. Those two things come together and they form this sort of need, this sort of feeling of powerlessness and emasculation in a lot of these young men, where they feel like they have to strike back out at the world. So I, again, would like to say I hope that we are taking the mental health of our students and children very seriously, because it could mean other people's lives. I also do want to say that on June 11th, I'm going to be conducting a cleanup along Amboy Ave, where the new hotels are being built. Well, not hotels, apartments. There's a lot of trash there. I'm going to be bringing some of those trash pickup poles along with that. Me and my girlfriend's going to be there. My friend's going to be there. So if anyone would like to join up with me and help clean up the area, that'd be great. We're probably going to start around like 11. If you can come for like an hour, bring some gloves, bring a trash bag if you can. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public this evening?
Council President,
Yes.
I do want to make a comment, and thank you very much for your passionate plea. I do know that in our schools now, probably about a quarter of their budget is being spent on social and emotional learning. That's something, that was a term that we did not hear 10 years ago. And as far as the profile of what a shooter is, that is something that obviously is very disturbing nowadays, what's going on. We all have our own personal opinion of guns and gun violence and how to secure a school properly. Bigger schools with bigger budgets sometimes have more resources to create a more secure school, but I think it's more of a social issue as well, what you're talking about. And I just want to echo Councilwoman De Jesus' comments. As a president of a youth football and cheer program for over the last 20 years, I can't say when I look around and I go to other townships and see any other townships that put as much money into our youth sports and youth activity than in Woodbridge. And I work very closely with everybody here, and I know I take it personally when somebody calls me a racist. And I've seen everybody in action, and what they've done. They've called during those types of mass shootings, and I wouldn't want to work with anybody on the dais that I would deem a racist. And I don't look at anyone on this council as a racist.
Thank you, Councilman.
Paul Lund, Hope Lawn. Just a couple questions. I did want to find out, Mr. Mayor, if there was an appraisal ordered for the property where that development's going to go up by the Ross Street School. I also I want to mention that the social emotional content, there's been concerns brought up, and I know Board of Ed is a more proper setting, but I also know you hold a position, prominent position in the county. Concerns, where they keep reassuring parents that a lot of material on the health side is age appropriate, and on the social emotional side, DEI, that it's in theory it helps young minds to talk about emotional, having an emotional IQ, working through issues, conflict resolution, and so forth. My concern upon looking into it is that there's a form, and again, this is probably more the domain of Board of Ed. There's a DEI form that anyone can fill in anonymously. If they have a concern, maybe they feel slighted or they felt that there was a microaggression toward them, that they can report anonymously on other students, and then they would go into the DEI team and have a gentle interrogation about what their thoughts were and why they try to resolve the issue. My concern, it just feels like that almost like a re-education, almost like the interrogation of students anonymously can go in a wrong direction, and it doesn't feel right. You had mentioned a couple weeks ago that materials, sex ed materials, wasn't being brought in as early as a gentleman had claimed, but some parents feel, and they did in Barwood and they did in Toms River, that talking about anal sex shouldn't even be in the domain of government schools, that's something that should be left to parents. Even if it's done awkwardly or not at all, it's not an area that the schools should be involved in. And not to mention puberty blockers and all the other things that is being investigated by the state of Texas as being a form of child cruelty, child abuse, because puberty blockers aren't meant to be used for extended periods of time. So there's a lot of concerns around that. The last thing I'll mention is I keep hearing about racism and systemic racism, and I'm a teacher. I teach at a yeshiva, and recently there was a hate crime. Someone was brutalizing some of the Orthodox Jews, and it happened to be a black person, and that's not to say that that's a regular pattern. But these days, all I hear when there's ever a shooting, it's always it seems that people are cherry picking the violence. There was a gentleman, Frank James, that shot people on the subway. There was a man in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who was radicalized by groups like Black Lives Matter and ran down, injured 60 people, killed 10 of them or 13 of them, if I recall. You don't hear that being brought up. There's 63 million abortions since Roe v. Wade. 40% of them are black. 40%, a population that's 13 to 14% of the country, 40% of the abortions are black. I'm sure Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood, is smiling up from wherever she is. If Black Lives Matter, why don't we talk about the fact that over 50% of homicides are committed by blacks and over 50% of the victims are black? Why don't we talk about the 45 black lives that were lost over Memorial Day weekend in cities like Philadelphia and St. Louis? Why don't we look at root causes instead of just slapping a label on everyone who's white and slapping a different label on everyone who's black? We know from life that it's not as simple as black and white. And as far as sexuality, that they want 53 shades of gray, but everything else on race is black and white. There's something wrong in our society. We all know it here. And you guys are making it a cartoon in your accusations. Sin resides in the heart of every human being, and there is a plan for redemption. And it's not the government. It's not the school system. It's certainly not these guys who keep bringing up race all the time. If you want to look at racists, the finger you point at, 3 fingers point back. We know that from history, too.
Thank you.
Council President, I do have to respond to some of that, and that this is not a Board of Ed meeting, and I don't want to turn it into a Board of Ed meeting. One, there's an opt-out for every parent, okay?
There should be an opt-in, as the mayor said on
There's an opt-out. There's an opt-out for comprehensive and sexual education. There is.
Pervasive.
No.
Excuse me, Mr. Lund, excuse me. You had your time, Mr. Anderson, to speak.
My boys are now 15. When they were 12, they were probably the last kids in the neighborhood to get a cell phone. Right? I sat down with one of them the other day because I was challenged by Mr. Tramador a few weeks ago. And I asked him, I said, now we gave you guys a thorough education on these cell phones. How soon after I gave you your cell phone, how soon did someone send you something sexually related? It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, somebody sent them something, okay? Kids, this right now is something that we all have given our kids. I've seen kids get cell phones as young as 6 years old, all right? Now, my son teaches sex ed at Scotch Plains High School, and yes, they have added different areas in there, vaginal, oral, and anal, all right? Not gonna get all into it, okay? Now, the age group in which it went down, and I challenged Mr. Tramador, he was wrong. He was wrong in the age in which it went down to, all right? I shared with all of my council mates the standards so that they could review them for themselves. And a lot of it was, at that age, it's about self-confidence, understanding of their self, understanding of their bodies, all right? With your comments with race, a lot of it is a social issue, sir. When you talk about black on black crime, we're talking about poverty. If you went to Hell's Kitchen back in the 20s, it was white on white crime, okay? These are poverty-stricken areas when you talk about Chicago and all of those areas, all right? So we have crime with the people that we see every day. You go to South Side Chicago, it's a poverty-stricken area. And we have a gun problem in this country too. But I'm not gonna get on an entire platform here. I just wanted to address what you mentioned. I appreciate your comments, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening? Can I get a motion that the public comment portion be closed?
May I, Council President, may I make a comment before I make that motion?
Sure.
Thank you. I want to point out something obvious here based on the discussion tonight, that everybody has their ability to speak about the issues that they feel are important. But I want to point out that 2 different people with different points of view had the same concern, and the concern was the safety and the way students were taught and what they learned and whether they were protected and whether their voices are being heard. Two different people with the same thought process, but different ways of attaining that. And I would like to point out, if I could put a twist on it, the positive aspect of that we have people that are disagreeing that are able to speak their minds in front of the governing body. And I personally think that's a good thing. Councilman Anderson, the other issue when you talk about whether it's crime and economics is also a big concern about healthcare and economics, which we all know there's a direct relationship to that. So while we all have a lot of work to do, I think it's good that we recognize it, and maybe in different ways, but we recognize it. I make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go through our agendas. My agenda's in order. A few announcements. Woodbridge Summerfest 2022 will be this Saturday, June 4th at Merle Park. Gate opens at 12 p.m. A fun-filled day of great music, children activity, beer garden, feature bands to perform are Dead Cowboys, Shore Sounds, Southern Steel, Saints in the City, Starman, and Willie Nile. It looks like it's be a nice day, mid-70s, so come out, enjoy a good time with the rest of the township. Also, this Monday, June 6th, between 5:30 and 8 p.m., Ford's Business Community Annual Cruise Night. That'll be located at 372 New Brunswick Avenue, Ford's at Sipperstein Paints. Good time, come out, vendors, food trucks. That'll be this Monday, June 6th, from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. God bless our first responder, all our central employees. Just like to thank Director Hubbard. I think you stepped outside. We had some good praise about your adult police program. And I thank you and your administration and all the officers that were involved with this great program. And like I said, we do have a program for our youth police academy, and also we have on the fire side we have a fire academy for youth in the township of Woodbridge. That's all I have tonight. Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. Just a few announcements. First of all, congratulations to our school district and the leaders of Heroes and Cool Kids for, I believe, their 15th year. It might be their 14th, but I think it's the 15th. They have their end of the year program tomorrow. For those people that don't know what Heroes and Cool Kids is, it's a mentoring and peer leadership program where high school students are trained in public speaking and social issues such as substance abuse awareness, anti-bullying, citizenship, and conflict resolution. And then those high school students go down and talk to the middle school students, and it's really wonderful when students can talk to students about issues that are important to them. Also, Woodbridge Township is one of the few districts in the state of New Jersey that has a program called Sidekicks, which is a similar program, but middle school students go down and speak to elementary students. And again, congratulations to all of those folks that are involved in them and the educators that kind of guide the students along. Our Woodbridge Youth and Health Services has the Wellness Shark Tank program coming up on June the 7th, and we'll hear more about that. That is an opportunity for township students 9 through 12 to make presentations on programs that affect the wellness of students, and there is funding involved. I spoke a little bit about that at the last meeting, so I just want to pass that along. Independence Day celebration is scheduled for Friday, July 1st, with a rain date of Friday, July 2nd at Alvin P. Williams Park. The park is closed until 4 o'clock, and the musical guest this year is AM Gold. Over at the community center, on a light note, there are a lot of great activities going on. The summer camp program registration is up and available. The mini golf and batting cages are open up on the weekend, and also the pickleball craze continues to go on. Moving over just real quick on the COVID update, Mayor McCormick's Code Red, if you just take away the jokes, are very informative and keep everybody in line. The New Jersey Cali score, which is the COVID level index, which measures COVID activity levels. Our area of the state is still in the orange level, which is still high COVID activity. However, our numbers, as Mayor McCormick presented this past Friday, are declining, and certainly our hospitalizations are declining. Future clinics, June the 7th for adults, 2 to 4 p.m. Also, June the 7th, children 5 to 12, 4 to 6. The CDC recommends people 50 and older, and those 12 and older with compromised immune systems receive a second booster at least 4 months after you got your fourth booster. I did go last week personally for my second booster, and it's no surprise the folks at the health department do a great job. You're in and out of there quickly. They watch over you for a few minutes, and it's just a well-run program. Director Green's not here, but I always thank him and his team for running a great program. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman Small, sorry.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order, just a few announcements. I want to thank the mayor and my fellow council mates that were able to attend many of our Memorial Day services Sunday and yesterday. It's very important to support all our military personnel who have served, and for the folks that unfortunately paid the ultimate sacrifice. I want to congratulate Woodbridge High School baseball on a very successful season, but I will let Councilman Anderson speak a little further on that because his son's a player on there, so I'll give him that. And Saturday at the girls softball GMCs, the mayor's alma mater once again won the GMC girls tournament. St. Thomas won, but a young lady from Fords, New Jersey, who's a senior on the team, hit a 3-run walk-off homer in the 11th inning to win the championship, Mackenzie Pfizer. So congratulations to her and her family. I personally worked with her dad, Pete. He's about 5'8", but when I saw him Sunday, he was 6'6", because it's just fantastic what happened to her and her team and family. But I ask to always remember our police officers, our firefighters, our EMTs, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman De Jesus.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I just would like to congratulate all of the seniors that participated in the Senior Police Academy. And another program that we run in our township, it's the Junior Police Academy. And anyone interested in signing up their child for the Junior Police Academy, it's over the summer. It's 2 different weeks. Can contact Detective Sino at Community Affairs. Also, another program for our youth, Girls on the Run. The program it's an 8-week program that the rec department brought to Woodbridge Township this year, and parents signed up young ladies, and it's to build confidence and self-esteem in girls. They will be running June 12th in Somerville. That's their race. So the girls have been getting ready in Alvin P. Williams. They're there twice a week running and meeting with their counselors, and their race will be June 12th in Somerville. And one other announcement is on September 17th, we will be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. It's never too early to announce. And this time it will be here on Main Street. Yes, it's the same day as the St. James Street Fair, but we'll have the end of it on. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. And that is all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Council President Bauer. I just want to provide an update on a matter that was brought up at our last council meeting by a resident of Ideal Mobile Home Community. The regional manager for Lakeshore Management, who manages Ideal, reached out to my fire official office with a new set of contacts and a new property manager. For those residents that are having issues with the lack of communication, please reach out to me and I will provide the contact info. I've also forwarded the contact information to the mayor's office as they received several phone calls on the 3rd floor. I want to thank all the residents over the last several months who have communicated with myself, my fellow council mates, the mayor, and the administration. Item number 2, just to remind our residents that Curtin's Restaurant has karaoke every Wednesday night and trivia night with the mayor every Thursday. The outdoor tent is back up, so come on out and enjoy your meals and refreshments outside on the patio. The rest of my agenda is in order, Council President. Just to echo Councilman Small's comments regarding Memorial Day. We all attended several memorial services yesterday. It was a very nice turnout at each one. It's nice to see the public, as well as everyone else, remembering what Memorial Day is really about. And congratulations to all the senior graduates of the Senior Police Academy. It was a very nice ceremony today. Director Hubner, thank you. Mayor Administration for providing the services. Congratulations, Gary. Thank you to all emergency responders, fire, EMS, our Woodbridge Police Department, CERT, and all of our public works and township employees. God bless America. Thank you, Council President Bauer.
Thank you. Councilwoman Meehan.
Thank you, Council President. Gary, I have your picture in the paper this month with the Police Academy, just so you know. I know the mayor explained about the results at Colonia High School, but if a resident has a cancer concern and further questions, please know that the Department of Health for the state of New Jersey is committed to addressing individual concerns and discuss the information in the reports in small groups or one-on-one meetings. To schedule an appointment with the Department's Office of Environmental and Occupational Health, please call 609-826-4984. If you have already reached out to them, they will be in touch with you to address your concerns. So I just wanted you to know that. Again, that number is 609-826-4984 for any resident that still has any concerns. That's why I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Patel is excused. Councilman McCullough. Oh, sorry, no. Councilman Anderson. My bad. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank the Recreation Department for providing me an update. Our recreation softball is finishing up its final week of the season. There were over 30 teams that had a successful and fun season. Our rec baseball has approximately 3 weeks left in the season and has over 68 teams that are playing and competing in our first combined season, which is great because knowing my kids, when they played, USABL kind of took over. Councilman Bauer and Councilman Small, I know you guys ran some very healthy leagues, and these corporate leagues came over and took over a lot of baseball in New Jersey and all across the country. It's nice to know that we can still have 68 baseball teams still playing on a recreation level, which is phenomenal. Recreation soccer is in full swing with over 70 teams playing and competing. Our free skills clinic began on Monday, June 6th. Clinics are open to anyone who is currently registered for spring recreation soccer program. And rec volleyball, registration is open until June 3rd for our first ever township-wide recreation volleyball league, boys and girls in 5th grade through 8th grade, which is huge because our middle school volleyball program is growing. Are eligible, and the season will kick off in July. Visit the Township Community Pass site to register. Our Juneteenth event is coming up on June 18th behind Woodbridge High School. There will be t-shirts for sale there. We'll have many vendors. It's from 12 to 4 on June 18th, which is a Saturday. It'll be held back there, and there will be some spoken word and music, DJs, but it is a festival. It's there, come eat, enjoy, celebrate. We had a visitor in Woodbridge last week. His name was Rob Wilkins. He was an '82 grad of JFK High School. He was a master sergeant with the U.S. Air Force. He had been in the Air Force for over 26 years. But he was appointed by the President for the President's Council on Sports, Nutrition, and Fitness. He visited several classrooms at JFK High School and spoke to the students about the importance of leadership and following their dreams. But of course, we went to the cafeteria to look at the food and talk to the cafeteria workers, and he recalled his favorite meals that were served at the high school. We then brought him over, and I would like to thank the mayor and Mr. Haggerty for bringing him in for an interview that day at TV 35, where he was able to talk about his experience and growing up here in Woodbridge, but also his experience, vast experience in the military, and also how he became an appointed member of this prestigious council, where he was selected out of over 5,000 candidates and applicants. So that was a great day. Councilman Small, you touched on Woodbridge High School baseball. My oldest son was on the team that set the school record for 21 victories back in 2011. And then the team in 18 with Harry Rotowski. That team broke that record with 25 victories. And this team right now is actually scheduled to either tie it, potentially tie it, depending on for regular season, but they could surpass it with our state playoff victories. I'm sure. I'll give Mr. Little a smile. We lost to Elizabeth today 5-4. All right, so that came. That my son sent me a text. I asked him. I was hoping that we beat him, but we lost. The coaches over there are doing a fantastic job at Woodbridge High School. I do want to announce the passing of longtime coach, Stu Jago of the softball team. Councilman Ficarra knows him very well, as he not only competed against him in high school, but participated with him as a teammate in college. And Mr. Jago, Coach Jago, was loved by so many, and he was a great football coach and a great softball coach. And lastly, I just want to, it's so hard being in this dual role sometimes with being a superintendent, not to comment on what goes on educationally. But what happened in Uvalde, Texas is unfortunately a microcosm of what's going on in this country, where there's substantial mental health issues, but we also have some real issues when it comes to gun control. Everyone has their own opinion on it, whether or not we're protecting our students as best as we can. I will say this, here in Middlesex County, we have a phenomenal relationship between all of our schools have a memorandum of agreement with our each police department and our prosecutor's office. We have routine lockdown drills. We have routine active shooter drills in our school to prepare our staff and our students. God forbid we're ever faced with that. There comes that human element, when you want to arm a teacher or an SRO. Comes that human element on whether or not somebody's going to pause. And they're going to analyze this for forever down there on why it took 45 minutes. So my heart goes out to all the people in these shootings, as you mentioned, Buffalo a few weeks ago, and what's going on down in Uvalde, Texas. Let's hope we have some leaders down in Washington that are going to come to a decision, to make a brave decision. Our country is as divided as it is as when it was slavery, during slavery, on this whole gun issue right now and mental health. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
Yeah,
Woman
thank
Jesus, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just forgot to announce that we will be having a Casby Health Day, Saturday, June 11th, from 10 to 1 at Sunnyview Oval. El Día de Salud de Casby será el sábado, junio 11, de 10 a 1 de la tarde en Sunnyview Oval. We will have free health event in partnership with Hackensack Meridian, and there will be a screening event to get readings of your blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, and stroke risk assessment. Again, that's Saturday, June 11th in Casby. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Vatel's excused. Councilwoman McAuliffe.
Thank you, Council President. I just have my agenda is in order. I just have a couple announcements. First, I'd like to say, as my first time as being councilwoman, the Memorial Day events that I went to in Woodbridge with the VFW, the American Legion, and the Disabled Veterans, the services were amazing. I was honored to be there, and they involved me, and it just really was a very humbling experience for all of them. They were beautiful. The people who put them on, it was amazing. I just was so honored to be involved in those. So, thank you very much for the service that they did for our country, and for the ones who didn't come back to make sure that this is a free place for us to live. On Saturday, June 18th at Allen P. Williams Park in Seawarren, Relay for Life will be having their annual event. Opening ceremonies will begin at 1 o'clock, followed by the presentation of survival medals. It's a very nice presentation. You should all try to come down there and watch it. It's for a very good cause. Also, I really don't have very many other things. I would just like to say June 11th, Woodbridge Community Center, we're having a meet and greet there. There's going to be a lot of different programs that you can come and check out. That's at 1 o'clock at the Woodbridge Community Center. It's going to be a great day to just find out what goes on in Woodbridge, and it's going to be a nice thing for people to come out and check out. Eric LeGrand had his coffee shop opening a couple of weeks ago, and it was a very big, huge success. And if you haven't had a chance to stop by, drop in and have a hot or cold coffee, you won't be disappointed. The coffee is very good. The last thing I'd like to say is that I received a call from a couple that had made a complaint to me, and they were extremely, extremely pleased with the results they got. The husband called me and he was overly ecstatic. There was an issue with some vandalism at Lyman Avenue Park, and they really never thought that the police department would ever catch these 5 young men who were there vandalizing and knocking down the playground equipment. And the police went over and beyond to find these young men and called the resident and told him that they did get these young men and that they would be replacing the playground equipment soon. So the family was extremely happy, and he wanted me to make sure that I said something about it, that he was wholeheartedly thankful to the Woodbridge Police Department for taking the above an extra effort to go to find these students, or young men. I shouldn't say they're students, I'm not sure. Other than that, I'd just like to wish all of my fellow councilmates, administration, and Township of Woodbridge residents a happy Father's Day, since we won't be meeting until after that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items. I will be noting number 1, letter D, a transfer of ownership you approved this evening. Thank you. Number 3, letter A, just to mention, last week was our annual retail licensing meeting with our 93 liquor license holders. The meeting was virtual again, very successful. We participated in a much more global meeting with Thomas and Mercer counties. Went over well. Just to comment on elections, election day is next Tuesday, which is the primary for residents to be reminded. Early voting is now an option here in New Jersey. In Woodbridge Township, the Acacia Youth Center at 95 Woodbridge Avenue will be open this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's totally at your convenience. You're not locked down to Tuesday between 6 and 8 p.m. So if you're available this weekend and want to get it out of the way before next week, feel free to do so. Again, that's the Acacia Youth Center, 95 Port Reading Avenue, which most people still remember as the Hungarian map. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor McCormick.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the council for your support on Memorial Day and on Sunday for all the different events. It's physically impossible for any one person to get to all the events because several are at the same time, usually on Monday at 9, 10, or 11. But every place I managed to get to, there was somebody from the council, and every single event was covered by somebody, which I think was tremendous. So thank you for that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Huffman.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Director Darden.
Thank you, Council President. Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Brewer.
Thank you, Council President. A few items. First, the final change order for contract 2020-23, and that was for cleaning and televising sanitary sewer and mini systems and the torrential spot repairs. Second was a final change order for the intersection improvements, traffic signal installation, New Brunswick Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, and Rollway Avenue and Green Street and East Green Street. And the third is a release of a surety bond for number 1 Paddock Street.
Thank you. Business Administrators in order.
Thank you. Under Administration and Finance, I have a tax and sewer overpayments. I have a 100% disabled veteran. And as an add-on for tonight, I have an electric distribution company aggregation agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Legal. Motion for adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Meeting adjourned. Have a good night.